number 5 wide receiver in the 2024 NFL draft class. Is it mine? Is it mine now?
Yours.
Oh, cool.
That was my 4. He was my 4.
Cool. So my number 5 wide receiver, we got to agree here then, because I thought you were going to say him at number 4.
Nope.
It's Xavier Worthy.
Yes, sir.
Out of University of Texas. Talk about prospect fatigue, like we mentioned early on with Marvin Harrison Jr. Xavier Worthy has been a hot name since he was a true freshman, because he was an early true freshman breakout player. And I think that everyone's just like, oh, well, look at all these other shiny new toys for me to play with.
Exactly.
And just completely ignoring the fact that Xavier Worthy has just been a baller for 3 straight years and put up great numbers and been hyper productive and plays bigger than his size and is lethally fast and runs lethal routes and has really, really great hands. I told you that I had Troy Franklin as my wide receiver number 4. Xavier Worthy in my grading system actually graded out slightly higher than Franklin. I just like Franklin's skill set maybe a little bit better, but this is one that I might flip-flop on throughout this pre-draft process, because Xavier Worthy is just fun. And his ability, we've talked about it a lot with some of these other wide receivers, especially like when we were down at Senior Bowl and we were watching like Ladd McConkey and some of these other guys that have that deceleration ability to just like shoo, hit the brakes in the defender. Like they pull the Maverick. I'm gonna hit the brakes and he's gonna fly right by. Like Xavier Worthy can do that, man. He can just go from a full like 4-2 sprint to 3 steps, breaking it down and snapping to the sideline, and the defender is 15 yards down the field. And he's just wide open. There's clips of watching Xavier Worthy. He's one of the few wide receivers in this draft class where he does stuff and I just go, oh my God. Like, it's just like, whoa, like that was fun. I think I suffered a little bit of prospect fatigue with Worthy a little bit, just a little, because I was starting to get into the shiny new toys. And then I remembered, I was like, you know what? I loved him when he was a freshman. I'm going to go back. I gotta revisit. I gotta make sure that I'm not doing him any disservice. And I'm glad that I did, because this is a guy I'm putting my flag on it. He is today's NFL's style of wide receiver, with his ability to break and catch and run after the catch. And he plays bigger than he is. He runs physically. He tries to muscle through for extra yards all the time. Whether it's getting him the ball on a screen pass or watching him just dust a single high safety on a deep route, he's a very, very talented wide receiver.
It's funny because it feels like his ball tracking has kind of been forgotten about. Like he can't go downfield and track a football. I have a clip on Twitter at InHarmsWay19 of him tracking a football that hangs in the air for like 5 seconds.
Is this the one against Alabama?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
And he's just waiting for this ball to come down. There's a guy right behind him. Doesn't matter. The ability to, again, flash those late hands for a guy his size. And he has bulked up a little bit since his freshman season. He looks stockier, which is really good. It's helped him survive contact better. There are numerous clips out there, guys. Please do yourselves a favor. I understand he's got a small frame. He survives contact. I have seen guys go to light him up, and he's starting to like understand how to either get his body a little bit out of the way and use those shoulder pads and just kind of dip into the contact a little bit and then right out of it. It's so fun. And like you said earlier, I think I might end up flopping him and Keon Coleman. I am so close.
I know,
because their grades
really
are
close.
very, very similar. But
I'm
like you
really
said,
close to having it.
He's this style of NFL wide receiver. Yeah. Keon Coleman types are typically dying. I have him closer to like a Drake London type player. Like that's how I see him being successful in the NFL. But Xavier Worthy is that smaller Devontae Smith type player.
I was gonna say it.
And yes, he's more lethal after the catch than Devontae Smith is. Devontae Smith is an underrated yak player. He just is because he sees the field so well. Xavier Worthy sees the field really well too. The difference is his 0 to 60 might be the best in this class. He might get up to speed better than any wide receiver. And that is saying something with guys like Malik Neighbors and Troy Franklin. It is impressive when you see him in open space and then the DB is just like, oh shit, that guy just ran by me. Like I'm not even flat-footed. I'm trying to keep up with him, and it doesn't matter. So here we are talking about this guy. His frame is a little bit of a concern. Don't get me wrong. He can be pushed off his route. That does happen with some guys with smaller frame. And the catch point stuff is kind of the same with Troy Franklin. I think he's better at it than Troy is, but what I like about it is he's always attacking the ball with his hands. He doesn't necessarily, when the ball's coming to him and he's facing it, he doesn't let it travel to his body a lot, which is what you need. Those hands, we're going to see the hand measurements when they come in. I think he's got bigger hands than his body would suggest. So that's always a good thing to have. He's just, like you said, the word to describe him is fun. This dude is silky smooth. And like the one of the notes I have is the speed dilation. Like he messes with speed all the time, whether it's his release, his stem, top of route movement. He's so nuanced, and people seem to have just thrown him aside. I don't get it.
I'm telling you, man, it's the fatigue factor. It's the fact that he's been around for 3 years now, where we've been watching him, and it's like, oh, look, Xavier Worthy, another 60-yard touchdown. Cool. And you just it's like, no, don't write off a 60-yard touchdoard. That's not nothing, guys.
No, please don't.
You can't just be like, look, another highlight from Xavier. No, stop it. Stop it. Xavier Worthy is very, very good at football. I'm glad that Cover One Draft Weekly, we are planting our flag on a one Xavier Worthy as being a very, very good NFL wide receiver.